So I do want to bring up. I can't believe some of these numbers that we're finding with this month's polling project. It's going to be basically, roughly 30% of the country who wants to do anything about Ukraine. Okay. Um, the Congress has abdicated, and you are running for Congress, so I want your views on this. In my opinion, and I think it's just the right opinion. Surprise. The Congress has abdicated their authorization, their power to authorize the president to use force. And this has been the case for years. I mean, George W. Bush definitely made it worse. But it has been the case for years that the Congress has simply deferred to the executive when to use force is appropriate. When clearly the power to declare war is with Congress. All right, the president can ask for a declaration, but it is a congressional authority. They just use all of these cute little terms to mask the fact that they are, in fact, starting a war. And to do this with Russia, number one, I believe is completely stupid. Over Ukraine is deeply unpopular right now. So there are more people who strongly oppose this using any U.S. forces. There are more people who told us they strongly oppose it as opposed to just oppose it than there are people who support it in totality. So what do you make of, I mean, every failing president does this. They always do this,
Yeah.
But here we have a president who has a financial interest here, Patrick. This is what Ukraine and the impeachment was all about. The Bidens, they were in 2014 when he was still the vice president. He was pitching to the Ukrainians to take all of the U.S. money that we're going to give him and put it into their energy sector. The Bidens have a financial interest in Ukraine's energy sector. They don't want to westernize, Patrick. People don't see this as the complicated problem that it is. Most of the country identifies as Pan-Slavism. And the eastern portion of the country wants to be part of Russia. I mean, this is just, you think we were welcomed as liberators in Iraq? Wait until you see eastern Ukraine, folks. All right? It's going to be a total disaster. And again, there's no appetite for it. What do you think we should do here? Congress just completely quit. They just quit.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line, I stand firmly against war in Ukraine because I don't see a compelling American interest there for all the reasons that you laid out. I'm not against any intervention ever, but we have to filter it through the America First lens always. We are responsible to the American people. And I have seen no one come out and convincingly tell me why we should send American sons and daughters to go fight and die in the Ukraine for a conflict that we really don't stand anything to gain from or can't clearly delineate why it would protect Americans. I think there are a lot of questions that you raise validly about the Biden's, dealings in the Ukraine that may make him compromised. They always talked about that with President Trump. Well, he's doing this because they have compromat on him, the Russian term for some kind of compromising information. Well, we don't hear that same thing talked about now with Biden, even though we know he has extensive dealings in the Ukraine. Is there something there? I don't know, but you would think a journalist might ask that question. But of course, they're just lapdogs for whatever the administration and whatever the Democrats want to do. No, I'm firmly against us getting involved in the Ukraine. And I think a real fault line in the Republican Party right now are these neocons, the Dan Crenshaws of the world that want to just, go fight in every single conflict around the globe. And I don't think that's right. I think Congress has absolutely abdicated its duty. It does control the power to declare war on other countries, and it should retake that power. I am firmly on the camp that Congress needs to take back its powers, which it has ceded over the years to the executive branch. We must do that, and we must vote no on a battle in Ukraine. I don't think there's any appetite for it, and I don't think there's any solid American interest that would be advanced by sending our men and women to go die over there.
You said it in the beginning. Is it too much to ask to simply lay out the Weinberger doctrine? Like that, what is the compelling, what is in the vital U.S. interest here to go into Ukraine? What makes Ukraine vital? This is crazy to me. When I like to be impartial, I'm a data guy, but when it comes to war, I am not. And most of these people who always continuously push these wars, they've never seen one. They never fought in one. They don't
Yeah.
know what it looks like, what it does to people. We don't have the resources to even take care of these folks when they come back all demented from war and physically and mentally harmed. We don't have the resources. Speaking, which brings us, we're going to, I don't see China getting involved. These people have grown immensely powerful. They're smart, man. They have grown immensely powerful by doing nothing. Watching the U.S. get baited and bled on every conflict over the last 50 years while they have hung back, done nothing, and grown stronger. And basically NATO at this point it's a dinosaur, Patrick. Everybody, yeah. John Mearsheimer, Tragedy of Great Power Politics is my book tip for the day. He is the man. I'm a realist 100% when it comes to international relations, and it's textbook bandwagoning. They are not, the headlines today I got to laugh at. World leaders prepare for escalation. World leaders, they are doing nothing. They're going to jump on the U.S. bandwagon. We're going to spill the blood. We're going to waste the treasure. That's the way it always goes. Meanwhile, here at home, more than 70%, about 70%, told us this month that they have experienced food shortages for meat and poultry. Yeah. I mean, and we asked a ton of products, Patrick. The numbers are horrifying. And then we also asked about price increases and significant price increases, everything from eggs, toilet paper, meat, poultry, bread. People having a hard time finding bread. I mean, the numbers, I did this because I wanted to know if this was a regional problem, like some people have said. It's a widespread issue. It's just making its way now to some of those other areas, but they are starting to experience it.
Yeah, you talk about the folks that control these decisions, the Joe Bidens of the world, the Hillary Clintons, every member of that liberal elite establishment, really the uni party, though, because there's a lot of Republicans that are this way as well. Very few people make the decision to send our men and women in uniform overseas to go fight and potentially die for someone else's cause. And the people that send them over there have never seen war themselves, very few of them at least. And they stand to gain massively in profits. Yep. A lot of these folks have extensive stock holdings of these defense contractors. There's absolutely a conflict of interest. President Eisenhower warned about the military-industrial complex, 70 years ago, and we're still seeing it today. Yep. And the really galling thing to me, though, is the vast majority of people who go serve in our military and who die for this country are young white males. And this is a country that is villainizing those exact same people, telling them that they're racist, that they're chauvinists, that they're xenophobes, that they're pigs, all of the epithets that they throw at these people. And yet when it comes time to go fight our wars and they want to go throw us into conflict, into battle, they expect us to show right up and salute and grab a rifle and go do exactly that. So why would you fight for a country that hates you for a cause that they can't even explain to you why you should care about it? I think it's disgusting what our political class has become in this country, and we need to take that power back. And that's part of why I'm running for Congress, is because I think these elites are so out of touch with how regular people live, and they don't recognize the fact that the people are the only legitimate source of power. As James Madison said, we need to take that power back and make decisions for ourselves and prioritize our own people who are suffering right now because of other idiotic decisions that this administration has made, which has led to food shortages and inflation through the roof. The American people need attention right now. That's where our resources should be directed.
Yeah, we designed the Registered Voter Economic Confidence Index to not be volatile. And it's very much, it's very similar almost exactly to the Consumer Confidence Index. The only thing we don't use 1985 as a baseline. And yet this index just continues to suffer. And we're talking about Ukraine. I mean, this is, to me, Patrick, this is completely insane. We have serious problems. And Joe Biden's going to be in office. It's been a year. We just passed the 1-year anniversary of his inauguration. It's been a year and a lot has gone off the rails. Republicans take back Congress in 2022. I guess my question here is, it's still a long way to go with Joe Biden. God forbid anything happens to him. With some of the stuff, by the way, that we have been hearing from people is just not it doesn't inspire confidence. The media, though, especially the White House press corps, is basically pulling, like a Roosevelt style, charade on the American people when it comes to this man. He is not doing well. He is not fit. And, we can look to Kamala to save us from this incompetence. I mean, what should Republicans focus on when they get in office? And if you get elected, what would you drive? What agenda would you be driving? What do you think needs to be addressed? And how much do you think Congress, and also how much do you think Congress can right this ship? I mean, Republicans aren't typically as effective as Democrats. Like when they took when they took the House, I mean, they ground the Trump agenda to a halt. See if Republicans are going to do the same.
No, Joe Biden's in bad shape. That's why you see the trial balloons being put up there about Pete Buttigieg and Kamala Harris. I even saw one article recently talking about maybe Hillary Clinton should run again. They're in really bad shape when they're talking like that. And they're running out all the retreads, hoping that maybe one of these would stick. But, they recognize that there are serious issues. The problem is with them, everything is driven by ideology, and their ideology produces disastrous results. And the people are experiencing exactly that. You mentioned Biden. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary, or it was just recently. I'm amazed at how quickly they have managed to take something that was in pretty good shape, this country under President Trump, and completely destroy it. It's impressive in a sense. What should Republicans do if we take back the House? Number one, I think we can do a lot, and we must demand that of our Republican leadership, whoever that ends up being. I am not going up there to just, vote with Kevin McCarthy and whatever the Republican leadership tells me that they've prioritize. No, the American people have made clear they want to fight back against the coronavirus mandates, the insane mandates. They want their kids back in school. They want their kids not being indoctrinated with critical race theory. They want our southern border fully closed, and they would also like to explore the possibility of an immigration moratorium in this country. And they want illegal aliens who have no right to be here deported. Period, full stop. And the other thing is they want election integrity. They want this country to take action to ensure that votes are not being diluted. The American people who have a right to elect our leaders, their votes are not being diluted by others who have no right to have a say in our elections. Those are things that we must demand of the Republican leadership. That must be things that we proactively pass. And we say to Joe Biden, you want to defend the southern border being wide open and drugs pouring into this country. You want to defend lawlessness in our streets. You want to defend critical race theory and anti-white racism that is being taught in our schools, and put them on the defensive. For too long, Republicans have sat on defense and just lost this country somewhat more slowly than if the Democrats were fully in charge. It's time to start taking this country back, and that requires going on offense, passing this legislation, making Democrats defend uncomfortable, immoral positions in most cases, and tell the American people, you want this agenda that we have put forward for you, then you're going to have to put a Republican back in the White House in 2024, and we will get this done. That's where I stand on the issue, and I think the House can do a lot.
Yeah, I mean, cost of living, inflation took over the economy and jobs in this month's poll. I told people that was going to happen. I could see it just shooting to the top of the list. That really started in Virginia, too, right before the Virginia gubernatorial election. So we have cost of living. Right behind that is the economy. Coronavirus is way down there now. I mean, it may come in third. It may be in fourth, depending on. It looks to me like immigration has just as many, is at the forefront of just as many voters' minds as coronavirus now. And then also when we follow up and ask people, do you think the policies are too strict, or are they not strict enough? Why did you pick coronavirus? That number of people, it was overwhelming, a year ago, 2 years ago. It was over a year and a half ago. It was overwhelming. People would say, no, we need more, we need more, we need more. Now the number of people who pick it because they say this is totally out of control, is significant. So it's not even the same dynamic that we had last year, in the 2020 election. This is completely different. And Democrats have chosen to focus on an agenda that's, one, not popular, and two, not really the concern of the voter right now. So if Republicans get in there and, like you said, do what Republicans usually do, which is, basically just manage the decline, they're going to pay for it, because people are telling us they're going to vote Republican almost by default right now. It's not like they're doing it because they're in, it's a full-throated endorsement of the agenda, Kevin McCarthy tweeted out a couple of weeks ago. What did you think of that, actually? Real quick, I know we're coming up on almost an hour here, and I appreciate that, by the way. But what did you think about McCarthy's priorities?
Yeah, I'm not remembering exactly what they were. I think my general read was like, okay, we batted about 500. There were a couple good things in there. I want to see the follow through, though. At the end of the day, he'll a lot of politicians will say things to make sure that they get elected either to office in the first place or to Speaker of the House. But the follow through is ultimately what matters. And we can't just take these positions because, well, we know this is not going to actually pass because we're not going to control the Senate or the White House. No, when we're actually in power and when we can do these things, that's when we need the actual action on these. So it better not just be a position of convenience. And I think there were some things that were left out of that I would like to see on that list. But all the issues that I laid out before, those are the things that I will be going to fight for. And, I'll tell you this, on the stump, out on the campaign trail, I spend the majority of my time talking about Republicans' failings, not Democrats. I served in the Trump administration. I've seen what Democrats do. I've seen what the administrative state bureaucracy does, and I expect them to do those things. So I'm not necessarily that, disappointed or surprised by them. I know that they're the opposition party and that we have to fight back. My issue is with the Republican Party of the last 20, 30 years that has just stood by and allowed this country to be taken over and have found excuse after excuse for why they can't do anything about it. That time is over. 2022 is going to elect a new class of America First patriots, Republicans, but really folks that put the priorities of the American people first and put any kind of partisan this is what Republicans believe in aside. I want results. I want to fight for the American people, and I want to deliver on those things that people care about, whether or not it's popular with Republican leadership.
Yeah, you can't begrudge Democrats. You can't begrudge them for doing what they say they told their voters they were going to do. The issue here is with the Republican Party, who continuously makes promises they don't keep, which is why Donald Trump came to power in the first place. And every day, almost, they remind voters why they elected him in the first place. Every day that goes by, because Republicans stab their voters in the back. That's just a sad fact. Big news just broke, actually, Patrick. Stephen Breyer is going to retire at the end of this term. Supreme Court Justice Breyer. This is why elections are so damn important, ladies and gentlemen, because Trump would have gotten another pick. And maybe in his second term, he would have known by now, the Federalist Society is not, the same kind of conservative that you think you are. But this is a perfect example of what you were just talking about, Patrick. Lindsey Graham is going to line up to vote for whoever Joe Biden picks. Donald Trump picks a man, whether you have agreed with his positions, his rulings or not, picks a good man in Brett Kavanaugh by all measure. Yet he's a decent guy, and nobody has ever questioned his moral character. And they trot out a dirtbag like Michael Avenatti with women who have mental conditions to accuse him of rape and even gang rape. This is what I mean. Look, these people play hardball and they play to win, but this is a great example. What do you think, Republicans? Last question I'll ask you here. How far would you go in opposing who Joe Biden appoints? I mean, whoever he does is going to be radically liberal. That's not even a good word anymore. Just radical. Let's just call it.
Yeah.
Look, Merrick Garland was supposed to be a moderate. He just established the American Gestapo to go after conservatives. This was supposed to be a moderate guy, Patrick. So, wow. How far do you think they should go here?
Yeah, I mean, thank God Merrick Garland is not on the Supreme Court. He's doing enough damage leading the DOJ right now. I'll be very interested to see who they go with, just given the fact that Biden is in such a weak position. But the problem is that Republicans assist the Democrats all the time. They give them wins when they're in their most vulnerable positions policy wise. So I don't doubt that Lindsey Graham will be behind the scenes whipping votes for Joe Biden and, laying out the case for whoever he wants to put on the Supreme Court, why we need to do that. I'm sure Mitch McConnell will probably even, work behind the scenes for him. I don't believe in what the left did to Brett Kavanaugh. I don't think that's a level we ever want to stoop to. You're absolutely right to point out that they are willing to just throw any kind of moral compass aside and try and destroy people, destroy their reputations. I don't think we should ever sink to that level, but we should make the case to the American people, whoever that appointment, whoever that person is, what positions they are actually going to hold. And I have no doubt that they're going to vote exactly how the Democrats want on every single issue that comes before the Supreme Court if this nominee is ultimately put on the bench. Whereas on the right, we go through these slogs in order to get our justices on the Supreme Court. And then what do? They turn around and let us down. There's often, John Roberts is basically just a liberal at this point on the court. And, some of the others join in with them. So I always tell people, do not put your faith in judges. They will let you down. They are political animals themselves. As much as they try and make it look like a really legitimate process with the robes, and it's very somber, and their decision making is driven entirely by the law. No, the liberals on the bench, they know what outcome they want, and they'll find the law in order to make it make sense.
Yeah, I guess in the end, you really just said it. In the end, you cannot trust anybody, a man or woman in a black robe. They absolutely will let you down. That's it. And but Amy Coney Barrett was supposed to be, they wanted her to recuse herself. She was going to be the deciding vote to throw out all these ballots in Pennsylvania. It's all really. It's projection, Patrick. It really is.
Right.
And same thing Joe Biden just did with 2022, already sowing doubt about the legitimacy of the election. They do what they accuse others of everything that they do. Period. Yeah. Full stop.
Absolutely.
Tell people where they can find out more about you and how they can follow along with the campaign.
Yeah, so easy enough. Go to my website, patrickwitt.com. I'll move this way. It's right behind me over here. Patrickwitt.com is the easiest way to find us. All of our social media links are on there. On Twitter, it's Patrick J. Witt. And I think on Facebook, we're Patrick Witt for Congress. But follow us on social media. Stay tuned. We're fighting the fight out here in the primary. And what I would get across to your viewers is this is when the battle is won or lost. By the time you actually get to the general election, you just cast a ballot for whoever the R is. If you didn't get the right one in the primary, they're going to let you down too. So, I'm an America First fighter. I served in the Trump administration. I was on the president's post-election legal team. I don't just talk about these issues. I have a track record of taking action on them. And I would greatly appreciate your support. Chip in, sign up, volunteer if you're in Georgia. Would love to see you.
Yeah, thanks as always, Patrick. You gave us almost a whole hour. I really appreciate that. I know how tough that is to do for a candidate. You're fighting the good fight out there, brother. Keep trucking. Let us know how it goes with the ad, but everything else as well. We'll have you back. I'd love to have you come back and give us an update.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on. We'll see y'all soon.
All the best, Patrick. That's Patrick Witt, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you what. He was really on point with so much there. This is where the primary is where the fight really is. That's just true. Hi, folks. Rich Baris, the People's Pundit, host of Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit, and co-host of What Are the Odds with Barnes and Baris. If you liked what the New York Post called above average transparency, then go ahead and like the page, share the videos, and hit that notification bell. It'll let you know when we're going to go live.